Excuse me, it caught me by surprise. Good morning and welcome to my Monday messages. I am Rebecca. I'm a homeopath, a QTT, coach practitioner, and energy alchemist. And today I really wanted to talk about connections for so many reasons. And I may go on a bit today because once you start making connections and talking about the importance of them, it just goes on and on and on and on. So by connections, I'm talking about literal connections. I mean, everything in our internal world and our external world runs on our ability to forge good, strong, healthy connections. Connections where the power or the electrical charge, if you like, can run both ways. And that happens at a very basic level, a cellular level, and within the cell as well. That if the components of a cell, each individual cell, cannot communicate with each other or connect with each other, the cell becomes null and void. If one cell cannot connect with the cells around it, we cannot communicate at a cellular level. And that means, we don't get the nutrients, we don't get the electrical charge that's needed. We don't get all sorts of things. There just is no action, basically. And that also means, because organs are made of cells, that our organs are also not connecting as they should. Now, there may be a very weak connection, but it's not, we're not really in our fully charged, powerful selves. And you know what happens when you have a device that isn't fully charged, it doesn't work properly. It's very erratic and it's disappointing, and sometimes it doesn't really it's not capable of doing anything. So that's literally, what goes on in us. And that is the root of all dis-ease, is when something happens that cuts off that ability to connect and communicate and, to literally have power running around us. And if we don't address that at some level, at some stage, then inevitably all kinds of issues, pathology, whether that's physical pathology or whether that's behavioural, disempowering behaviours, things that keep us frightened or keep us anxious or keep us feeling that we're not safe, all of those things, they will stay. And that's why I actually do come across several clients who are on paper doing all kinds of things right. They may be eating the right foods, what they perceive to be the right foods. They may be drinking clean water. They may be moving regularly. They may be getting all the fresh air and, meditating, all of those things. But the disconnect at a cellular level is still there because there's some nothing has been done to address that at that deep level. That's why I absolutely adore the tools that I've chosen to use in my practice. Primary one being homeopathy, and in partnership with quantum transformational techniques. And those two together, I find, are a unique combination that really addresses that energetic disconnect. But it also plays out in our external life as well, that we, at the moment, this drip feed of what may appear like doom and gloom, and the lid's been taken off, and how did I not see all these things? It depends on how we receive that information, and if this is being taken as an opportunity to start making connections, to start understand, oh, okay, this isn't just something that is far away from me, removed, and has no impact on me. It's everything does. Everything is connected. And therefore, whatever we can do to transform the way that we feel is the place to start. So starting always on how connected we feel to ourselves, and therefore our ability to really fully connect with the people that are already in our lives, but also anybody new coming along. And that can be, one-to-one, or it can be groups, it can be in our work, all kinds of things. Connection is what forms really powerful relationships. And, it's why, often we can go to these networking events, and sometimes they're facilitated really with that in mind. And we make really good connections. I've made some very powerful connections in circles that I've been to, more circles than networking events, I have to say, for me. But I know people who have made very good, strong connections, and why we don't connect with some people. There is no resonance there, and that is usually that there is some disconnect on both our parts. Actually, I don't like to say it's anybody's fault, but it's an invitation to actually look at, well, what, where am I disconnected, and why didn't I feel connected with that person? Not always. Sometimes you just accept that you can't connect with everybody. So, for me, being able to see connections, make connections in what I do as a holistic practitioner runs through my life as well. I love making connections. It's something that I was brought up to do in my family of origin. And it's something that I did in a completely different career as a producer, very much about making connections and pulling all the threads together and making a whole. And in essence, that's what I do as a health practitioner as well. When I'm listening deeply to your story, my brain is busy making connections. Where have you got disconnected? At what level? What caused that? And therefore, what remedies, or even if I'm in a QTT session, what QTT techniques may be the right thing for you to be able to alchemize that stuck energy and reconnect wherever you need to reconnect, to either to yourself, to your emotional self, to your physical self, and to your spiritual self, and sometimes all three. And then when that happens and the power is reconnected and things start working again, energy flows, then other connections are made. All sorts of other things suddenly come online. Suddenly lights come on, suddenly cognitively and physically, often we feel things. That's our intuition. That can come online too when it has been offline for a very long time. I believe that's what's happening collectively at the moment, that very many of us are making connections really quickly. The energy of the fire horse, especially now, where we're just those synapses, neural pathways are being formed repeatedly, new ones on a daily basis. I mean, they are anyway, but I think this is happening at a very fast rate, and that can feel discombobulating. It can feel energizing. It can feel tiring, all of those things. So in the light of this kind of onslaught of so-called new information, it's not new to many of us, I have to say, but if things are happening at a rate that feels very fast for you, and you're aware that you're starting to become conscious of disconnects within yourself, or you're feeling, it's a bit overwhelming, then homeopathy and QTT is a magic combination. And once we can plug in those things that have come unplugged, it is transformational. Our whole perception of ourselves and of the world and of others completely transforms. So I guess my message today is to encourage you to allow yourself to make connections where perhaps you've never made them before, to just be conscious of them at the moment. Maybe, just write them down, just start to explore. Oh, I wonder what will happen, if I do this instead of that. And, perhaps there's a different connection that I need to make. And also externally, if you're a bit of a loner, which I used to be, we need other people. We need the connection of and the support of other people. And I wanted to say like-minded souls. We're not all going to be on the same page with everything. And if we go through life expecting that, we're going to be disappointed and we're going to be lonely. So being able to actually recognize that we all have differences and we also have a lot of similarities, that we all basically want the same things. And I believe that we ultimately do want, the same kind of world for ourselves and for other people. So connecting literally with groups that you feel drawn to, even just one other person, is going to enhance that ability to make connections internally and externally and increase your power. So, if you want to pop in any really powerful connections that you've made, that you've found really actually transformed how you view your health or how you view the world, or how you viewed a relationship, or understood, enhanced your understanding in some way of something, that would be lovely, and it may inspire somebody else. So I think that's it. I could speak more on it, but really, I think just understanding the power. Ironically, I'm getting a slow connection notice. That's quite funny. So just making those connections and exploring them, being brave enough to plug yourself back in to how you feel about things. What's stopping you from feeling? What's stopping you from voicing? What's stopping you from connecting to those who may actually really resource you? And that always starts with yourself. That's it for today. I'm wishing you a really powerful connected, healthy week. Lots of love.